Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. James, my bad. I stepped on your toes. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm good. Could you forgive me and give the people the general standard greeting? Could you do that for me?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, people. Good morning. Happy Monday. I was about to say happy Friday. Like, wait a minute. We at the beginning of the week.
Hey, bro.
Damn.
Listen. I'm starting to view, now that this pandemic is going into year 2 for me, right? Because I've been quarantining since February 26th of last year. So I'm in 1 full year. Every day is Friday. Hell, every day is a summer day. Like, this is the longest summer ever. My kids are on summer vacation. Now, we obviously, we're giving them some homeschooling and getting them, up to speed and whatnot. But no, man, happy Friday if you need to.
Okay. Happy Friday. Every day this week is Happy Friday, okay?
if that helps us get through the day in the audience, happy Friday. But that said, good morning. It's March 1st, 2021. Thanks so much for joining us. James, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm pretty good, man. I can't complain. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing good, man. Rebecca will be joining us at around the 9 o'clock hour, along with Professor Anthea Butler. She's joining us today. Always excited to talk to that brilliant sister. And we're going to be speaking with former presidential candidate Marianne Williamson. Super excited about that interview because she likes to focus on not only progressive politics, but love. And she talks so emphatically about the need for us to love one another. So I'm excited about that. Low key, I'm like high key excited about that. So that said, there's a lot happening in the world of news and politics. I want to begin with the fiasco that was the CPAC, Conservative Political Action Committee, or whatever it stands for, their conference this weekend, which is, according to my friends over at Really American, is the best evidence that you need to realize that Nazism and fascism is strong in America. I want to begin with this first clip of Donald Trump so that we can see that Donald Trump is not gone. While we don't need to cover him every single day, I think it is important for America to realize that waiting in the wings is Donald Trump and his fascistic conservative movement waiting to come back and seize power. And that's why it's so critically important that Americans not only realize that this is happening, but Democrats also realize what we're dealing with. So let's take a first look at this first clip from the CPAC convention.
Hello, CPAC. Do you miss me yet? Do you miss me? A lot of things going on. To so many wonderful friends, conservatives, and fellow citizens in this room and all across our country, I stand before you today to declare that the incredible journey we begun together, we went through a journey like nobody else. There's never been a journey like it. There's never been a journey so successful. We began it together 4 years ago, and it is far from being over. We've just started.
Now, James, to be sure, Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. And I think it's very important for us to state that because Republicans, along with Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, Kevin McCarthy, all of them have acknowledged that Donald Trump is still the leader. And I believe the number one reason that they make this acknowledgement, even though Donald Trump at sundry times has insulted all of them, right, is because they realize Donald Trump has the power to break away from the Republican Party and start another party because overwhelmingly, he's still beloved, right? 300, 450,000 people dead from COVID-19, did nothing for the working people of this country, but he's still beloved. And he spoke to this last night. He calmed fears about whether or not he was going to start another party. Let's take a look at that clip.
To each and every one of you here at CPAC, I am more grateful to you than you will ever know. We are gathered this afternoon to talk about the future of our movement, the future of our party, and the future of our beloved country. For the next 4 years, the brave Republicans in this room will be at the heart of the effort to oppose the radical Democrats, the fake news media, and their toxic cancel culture, something new to our ears, cancel culture. And I want you to know that I'm going to continue to fight right by your side. We will do what we've done right from the beginning, which is to win. We're not starting new parties. You know, they kept saying, he's going to start a brand new party. We have the Republican Party. It's going to unite and be stronger than ever before. I am not starting a new party. That was fake news. Fake news, no. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Let's start a new party and let's divide our vote so that you can never win. No, we're not interested in that, no.
Now, to be sure, Donald Trump would most certainly have started a new party if it wasn't for Republicans groveling before this man's feet, right? We have a long list of noted bootlickers like Ted Cruz and the rest of them who bow down to Donald Trump, so he has no need. But and James, and we got a lot more clips, but I just want to ask you, do you think for 1 second, if the Republican Party had done to Donald Trump what most parties do when that candidate lose, right? If a president loses after one term, the party turns on them. Jimmy Carter wasn't going to run again in 1984. George H.W. Herbert Walker Bush wasn't going to run again in not 92, but 96, right? Parties, when their candidate, one of our producers mentioned Herbert Hoover, like when your candidate loses, the conventional wisdom is to move away from them. And so my quick question before we look at more of these videos is, do you think for 1 second Donald Trump would be there yesterday talking about, oh, I love the Republican Party, if the Republican Party had said, we're good?
Hell no, he wouldn't have been there. Bro, this is so disheartening, man. Just seeing this, I'm just like, bro, are you serious? 4 more, like this man, like this is the whole point of the impeachment was to get his ass where he wouldn't be able to run. But here it is, it's going to happen. And Ben, I hate to say it, and I just hope, America, I hope you wake the hell up.
Yeah.
If not,
because
this man is going to be back in office, bro.
I hate to say I'm serious. Like real talk.
I hate to say it, man.
Because if we look at some of the critical missteps of the Biden administration so far, it's making it extremely easy for Donald Trump to come out here and reinsert himself in the national conversation. Very much right. So and this is the next clip we have is where he's talking about whether or not he's going to run again for 2024. He didn't really actually, let's take a look at what this clown said about 2024.
But who knows? Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay?
Who knows? I may run again.
Just paint his face or something. I don't know, bro.
All those future COVID patients of America.
You see it too. Not man mask in the audience,
Joe Biden defunded the border wall.
And that black man, hey, Dwayne, could you pull it back up? Because I know we're talking serious stuff here. But listen, I want to talk to that brother. I want to talk to that brother in the audience. But run that clip again. I'll tell you where to pause it. Keep going. Black men, I need you to understand something. Herman Cain died in service of Donald Trump. Don't be a Herman Cain. Do not be a Herman Cain. Y'all going to these events. Y'all going in here without masks on. And come on, man. Like, it is targeting COVID-19 is targeting black people disproportionately. There he is, right there. Pause it right there. Brother man in the bottom corner, right there by the C-SPAN. He ain't even got a mask on. Like, the Make America Great Again mother that's right behind him, she has a mask on. See, she has on a hat, and then she has on a mask. This brother don't even have on a mask. Like, can somebody send black conservatives a memo and say, not only are you not privileged with white privilege, but you're not privileged when it comes to COVID-19. But I digress. All right. So
hello, somebody.
Back to the issue at hand. I'm sorry. I'm feeling weird this morning. Let's take a look at this next clip where he actually talks about hundreds of millions of Americans who would have died from COVID-19 if it hadn't been for him. Take a listen to this.
But who knows? Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time. Okay?
Okay. All right. All right. So it's at the other half. Okay. So in another clip, we can come bring it back. In another clip, he was actually talking about how he would have been, if it had not been for his presidency, that hundreds of millions of Americans would have died. Now, I don't want to dignify that with much of any response other than the fact that 500,000 Americans did die. And you can't scare us by saying, oh, well, 1 billion people could have died. Well, yeah, 1 billion people are going to die in the next 100 years, right? You can't make us fear when the reality is pretty grim, Donald Trump. But the real problem here, James, is that there's so many Americans who actually buy into that argument that, 100 million people could have died. Yeah, it could have. They could have. But 500,000 people did. And so this just shows you the level of derangement that exists in the conservative movement, particularly as it pertains to Donald Trump, right? Because they're not ready to let him go. They're not ready to let him go into the dregs of society when he himself has been detrimental to the Republican Party. And this is as evidenced by the fact that in the straw poll, the CPAC straw poll, they do it every year, or they at least the straw poll is every 4 years, they discuss who they would pick to run for president for the Republican Party. Donald Trump got 55%. 55% of the straw poll went to Donald Trump, saying that there's a strong majority of Republicans who, despite everything this president did to this country, still would stand by his side. The next runner-up was Ron DeSantis from Florida, the governor from Florida, who is doing everything he can to be like the knockoff version of Donald Trump. He has the matching amount of ignorance, but he doesn't have the matching wardrobe, at least. Like, you know, Ron DeSantis really dresses. Anyway, I digress. The point is that there's a lot of derangement going on in the conservative movement, and they are seeking after the most extreme individuals that they can possibly get, as evidenced again by the fact that there was a line at CPAC of people lining up to get photographs with Marjorie Taylor Greene. In the middle of a pandemic, they are seeking after one of the most ignorant individuals in Congress, and they lift her up as a hero. I want to play this clip from Mitch McConnell, because this will show you that there really is no difference between the Trump wing of the Republican Party and the Republican Party in general. Take a listen to Mitch McConnell.
There'll be a lot of talk this weekend about 2024 and whether the former president is going to get in that mix. Here's what Senator Romney said about that, if he does.
Will President Trump continue to play a role in my party? I'm sure he will. He has by far the largest voice and a big impact in my party. I don't know about his family members, whether they intend to do that, but I expect he will continue playing a role. I don't know if he'll run in 2024 or not, but if he does, I'm pretty sure he will win the nomination.
Do you agree with that?
Well, there's a lot to happen between now and 24. I've got at least 4 members that I think are planning on running for president, plus some governors and others. There's no incumbent. Should be a wide open race and fun for you all to cover.
If the president was the party's nominee, would you support him?
The nominee of the party? Absolutely.
Yeah. So there you go. If he was the nominee, crazy. He would support him. Republicans had an opportunity to rid themselves of this fascistic Führer dictator wannabe. They chose not to, because it's more important for them to maintain political power in the immediate term, like right now. They have no long-term view. They don't care the fact that the politics of Donald Trump is a losing proposition in the long run, because demographic shifts dictate that catering to old white conservatives is not how you are going to win in the future. The demographics of this country are changing dramatically. But net and still, it is more important to Republicans to maintain immediate political power. And even if that means continue to lay in the bed with someone as disgusting as Donald Trump, and that suggests to everyone that they're not only okay with what Donald Trump says, they actually believe what Donald Trump says. They actually believe in that bigotry. They actually believe in that hypocrisy. And this is what we're up against. And we can't sleep on it. I don't want to cover Donald Trump anymore. Certainly not going to cover him every day. But I think the American people need to understand that he is still there and he's laying in wait to seize power again. We're going to take a real quick break. Absolutely. When we come back, Rebecca is going to be joining us. And then when we come back at the 9 o'clock hour, we'll be joined by none other than the indomitable Professor Anthea Butler. I'm so excited about that interview. We'll be back with more Like It or Not after this.
rain don't come in November.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. We hope y'all enjoying the show thus far, y'all. It is like it or not. Monday morning, March 1st, y'all. It's the first of the month. Hey, y'all know what it is. Make sure that if you want to support the show, that you become a Patreon member. To join Patreon, make sure that you go to patreon.com/the BPD show. Patreon.com/the BPD show, y'all. It's like it or not.
That's why you keep on trying, but I'm really not moved by your tears no more. Yeah, she said if I can't have you, baby, then nobody else ever will. Yeah, because you've been driving me so crazy. I just hope that this love is for real.
And make sure that you download the Voices by Action Sprout app. The Voices by Action Sprout app. So you can always join Like It or Not and join our family, y'all. You can join the Like It or Not community. So make sure that you scan either of the QR codes and make sure that you get the Voices by Action Sprout app, y'all. Let's get it. Let's go.
Yeah. I hope the rain don't come in November. Cause the summer went way too fast.
Brenda, good morning. Susan, good morning.
Trying real hard to remember all of the good times and memories we had.
Priscilla, good morning.
And she called out crying. You said our love.
Purple Rain Hearts Nat. Hey, good morning, y'all.
That's why she keep on trying, but I'm really not moved by.
And good morning, Mama. Love you. Good morning.
You said your love is real. You said your love is strong.
I've been sleeping through the long nights. I've been shining in the sunlight. I've been thinking how I'm hard. Is there reason for my feelings?
Martha, good morning. Melanie, good morning. And let's see, Purple Rain Hearts, that was Norman saying is unmoved.
You and I were so sweet, talking till we asleep. Every night I fall deep, but love, yeah. Cause you really get me, make me fall to my knees. Every night I fall deep, but love. Yeah, wait a minute, don't you leave me before I get
Afraid Not. Good morning, y'all. Good morning.
without you. Yeah, wait a minute.
Mark S., good morning, sir.
I can let you go before I kiss you. Wait a minute, I just need a minute or two. I should catch up on my reading. I should catch up on my eating, yeah. But it's hard to keep a thought straight with you all up in my face. Try to get you out my mind, but why should I?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Rebecca and Ben. Oh yeah, Rebecca's joining us this morning. Look, here you go. Come on,
Hal. I thought I was gonna be good. Yes, I'm in the house. Where y'all thought I was gonna be?
I don't know. With them corporate overlords you be messing with.
Right.
That's where I was. That's okay. Because I'm here. I see you guys were going in about CPAC.
Yeah, we got to get to work. You know, we got to get down to business. You usually entertain us with some kind of shenanigans that happens over your weekend, Rebecca. Anything interesting happened over the weekend?
Some kind of story, right?
Yeah, you always got a story.
I saw this story. Look, because it's always something. No, nothing really happened. I was in the house doing laundry.
Now, mind you. No, I'm sorry.
But, right. Mind you. No, I saw this story. You got to get my nails on because this is a fool.
The way you saw it too?
I don't ask for this life in the middle of the woods.
That was just like perfect timing.
Dwayne, can the people hear you when you were just talking just now? Oh man, the people are going to think that there's something wrong with us because Rebecca.
They talking about my internet again, y'all. Anyways,
I don't want to talk about it because I was so messed up on Friday. I'm gonna be quiet about internet. Go ahead, Rebecca.
You better be quiet. Look, right. All y'all, you too, Bubba. Your camera be shutting off nowadays. Mine don't.
What you talking about?
But I wanted to go into the fact that over the weekend they canceled Dr. Seuss, and they said because of racial undertones. They used both words, overtones and undertones. They said because of his past work, of the author's past work, and yeah. And I was thinking,
who is they? Who canceled him?
That's what everybody wants to know. Everyone say it may be the radical liberals, it may be because the far right is looking questionable. Like, okay, really, why do we cancel a character, a cartoon?
Well, hell, they're trying to cancel Mr. Potato Head.
Here's my thing about it. Here's my thing about all of this. Y'all will cancel everything but what's like blatant racism. Like that's my thing. Like, and y'all will go scoop up the history. And the man, when he was asked, I believe, because this is what I read in the article that I read, the author said that was how times were way back then. Yeah. Like the Cat in the Hat wasn't something that I was trying to make racist. And then people were like, nah, it's racist. But my thing is, we watch so much. There has been so much racist stuff. Award shows are still racist. All these things that we should be canceled. People who should be canceled. Our government is racist. It's like lynching. Just watching the Billie Holiday movie, lynching is still a thing that is illegal.
Yeah.
I can go on and on, but y'all canceling the wrong things.
So you're
y'all
saying,
putting energy into the wrong things.
Did y'all see Don Jr. try to cancel Oreo cookies and got roasted? Got roasted for days.
Got roasted.
Man, shout out to Bishop Talbert Swan. We were trying to schedule him a couple weeks ago, but that man, I wish, and it's my bad. I should have brought the tweets. But Don Jr. was talking about Oreo cookie being a racist cookie. And Bishop Talbert Swan said, well, you don't seem to have a problem being a racist cracker. And I just, for the life of me.
But even saying the word, I'm like, ooh, yeah.
No, cookies and crackers. Like it works. Plausible deniability.
It worked.
It do work. It worked. If that white man stood at the door during the insurrection and called his own folks that...
No. We're talking about the actual wafers. We're talking about the actual rich.
That's what he was talking about.
That's what he was talking about. Absolutely. Yeah, keep things in context. But you're saying, but it remains true. Like we're canceling the silliest of things. Cancel culture is not real. And actually, Donald Trump even talked about that last night. We're living in a time of cancel culture. And I'm like, bro,
look at your impersonation getting better.
I'm working. I got a couple good ones in my bag, but I'm a little rusty. But anyway, that said, I'm excited. In a few minutes here, we're going to be joined by Professor Anthea Butler, because there's another thing that happened at CPAC yesterday that really treads on, I think, all of our territory. Like, all of us are people of faith in varying degrees, varying ways, right? Professor Butler is a professor of religion, and some of the things that happened yesterday were just like this week at CPAC was downright like idol worship. They literally brought in a golden calf, right? So if to me, it's like if people were serious about canceling things based on what they believe, you can't tell me these evangelical Christians out here shouldn't have canceled Donald Trump a long time ago.
They're worshiping him too.
They are.
That's their God.
That is.
Never get it twisted. They
on top of money. Donald Trump and capitalism, that's their gods. James, you look like you about to get in there and say, because you feel...
Oh, no. Ain't got nothing to say about that man. But But I do have a question for y'all, because I don't know, man. I really feel that, I don't know. Do y'all feel like this is leading towards another civil war, dude? Like a modern civil war?
I think the nature and the face of a modern civil war would be extremely different than what we think of when we say civil war. I do think that we're in a cold civil war where there's no actual guns being shot, but no, there's definitely a war going on right now for the future of this country, whether or not this country is going to be just downright rooted in white supremacy like it has always been, or is it going to pivot to try to be what those white supremacist founding fathers inadvertently gave all of us the promise of, that this was going to be a more perfect union. So to that end, I think we're already engaged in a cold civil war, and it would be a digital civil war, like social media, like it's going down around us, and there's a lot of money in it. So I don't think for a second that the military industrial complex, I don't mean to get too deep on it, but there's too much money in waging war in the global South for the military industrial complex to let us here domestically get into any kind of real war. They'll send the police state to crush all of us, and it'll be over in like 5 minutes. So that's my take.
Yes, indeed.
Right. I mean, we've seen them do stuff like that anyway in history.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we're already at war. Like you said, it may be a Cold War that we're certainly in right now. And I'm sorry, I was looking over, needed to get some stuff off the screen before I start lagging again. But I do think that we're actually in a Cold War, and it's I don't know. Let's just wait and see, because I think we have a whole new administration, right? Yeah. And it's still questionable. So let's just see how things move. Right. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Well, it is my esteemed pleasure to bring to, like it or not, none other than the indomitable Anthea Butler, Professor Anthea Butler. She is an Associate Professor of Religious Studies and Graduate Chair in the Department of Religious Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. Professor Butler also serves as the President-elect of the American Society for Church History and is a member of the American Academy of Religion, American Historical Association, and the International Communications Associations. Professor Butler has a new book coming in the spring entitled White Evangelical Racism, the Politics of Morality in America. Professor Butler, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, Ben. How you doing?
I am doing amazing. Dwayne, make sure you feed her sound into my ears. Thank you for joining us. I want to start. There's so many things that I like to discuss with you whenever you come on because of my background coming from the Black church. But I want to start with the abomination that we saw this weekend at CPAC. And I believe we have some footage of it. Dwayne, roll the footage of the golden calf, the golden idolatrous image of Donald Trump that was wheeled out to the the Conservative Political Action Committee event this weekend. Well, while we wait on that footage, Professor, what was your first take when you saw that? What came to mind when you saw the level of idol worship that is now happening in evangelical circles?
This was the tackiest TBN crap I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay, I mean, let's think about this for a minute. He had on boxer shorts and flip flops. Okay, this is like the fatted golden calf. Okay, it was like a combination between Bob's Big Boy and some like cheap tawdry toy. Except I heard it was made in Mexico, so maybe this was Mexico's way of saying thanks for building that wall. Let's send the ugliest possible statue we can of you. But the fact that they were worshiping it just lets you know everything about evangelicals right now. They are messed up. They are really, really, really messed up. I mean, it's ugly. Okay? Ugly.
Are you talking about, I'm sure you're talking about both, but are you talking about the image, yes, the golden image being ugly, or the idea that we have an entire movement of so-called Christians literally doing the exact opposite of what you should not make for yourself a golden image? And here they are. Exactly. They literally, that like all of it is disgusting and ugly, but they're serious about it. Like people lined up and took pictures with it. Like, what does that say in terms of the depth and the breadth of the religious derangement that they tied into this conservative movement?
And just let you know, it's not about Jesus. This is what the whole topic of my new book is about. This is not about morality. This is not about being nice. This is about wielding power. And if they can wield power using a cheap golden statue, they will do it, okay? And the fact that people's lined up to take pictures with this ugly thing and will be placing them up on their Facebook pages, their Twitter feeds, their Instagram, and everything else, lets you know two things. Number one, Donald Trump is in their heads so hard that it's ridiculous. And two, that they don't even see their own abomination. Basically, when you said the abomination of desolation, that's scripture, okay? And this is the abomination of desolation, that they have to worship this very, very ugly statue of their man because he's not in the White House anymore.
This is why I love bringing you on, because not only do you give us grounding and historical and religious perspective, but you also just don't have any F's left to give. Like you don't pull any punches. I want to pivot really quickly to the subject of your book. Your book is coming out, and I believe it's coming out this month. Am I correct?
Oh, child, wait a minute. Let's do the cartoon thing here. Hello, this is it. It's out, and it will be in your mailboxes in about 2 weeks. Okay.
Awesome. Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
Anthea Butler. Black. Okay.
White evangelical racism. Like, so the book is out. Tell us about the kind of the subject matter. Give us like the title. The title says it all, but like, what would be your thesis if you could like sum it up?
Racism is a feature, not a bug, in American evangelicalism. It is a feature because it's the history of evangelicalism. It's been there since we started using the word evangelical to talk about this movement in the 19th century. And what I'm doing is giving you a sweep to let you see all the ways that racism has been in evangelicalism through slavery, Billy Graham, the religious right, the moral majority, George W. Bush, Obama, and how they treated him, all the way up to Donald Trump. So, you know, when people talk about this as though, oh, evangelicals just fell off the rails because of Donald Trump, they didn't. They were already off the rails, and they've been off the rails. And we have to stop talking about them as though we think that this is something that just happened in the last 4 to 6 years. It's actually been happening for 200 plus years.
Absolutely. I want to bring my co-host in here, Rebecca Azor, because we all of us come from the church background, and evangelicals, like just depending on what part of the country you're from. But Rebecca, jump in there.
Yeah, listen, nice to meet you. Great to meet you, Professor Butler. It's interesting because a lot of people may see you and view you and, you know, as a religious professor and somebody who works in the community and in the church and knows about it. But how do you, especially in times like this, you know, being a Black woman, a religious Black woman, and then having the nerve to talk politics, how has that been for you, and how have you been able to tie the two together?
Because it's my work, it's my scholarship, it's who I am. And I don't think about it as being nerve. I think about it as being my duty. I'm a prophet and I'm coming to tell people about what's wrong. And so when you have a prophetic gift, and that the gifts of calling to God are without repentance. I didn't want to get on here and preach this morning.
Come on
but I'm
going
to go head on and just say that it doesn't matter, because I don't need to stand up in a pulpit to tell somebody the truth. I'm telling you the truth right now. And I think that especially for us, African Americans, and especially for African American women who are in these churches, and some of them have voted Republican and have voted for Donald Trump. You need to understand this, that it's time for people to take the wool off of their eyes and see what our history really is. If we don't reckon with this history is going to kill us. It's going to kill this nation. It's going to kill democracy. And until we get to deal with the original sin of racism, we can't go any further.
Can you? Oh Lord! So
that was good. That was real good.
I feel like I want to go and get my organ. My Hammond organ is in the other room.
That was enough to shout right there.
because right. Don't wait till the show is over. Shout right now. But anyway, I'm sorry. We gonna contain this
because plate now.
Y'all send up them super chats. Professor, in the last time we spoke, we talked about and you contextualize it for me even more, because my thing that I've been saying for a long time with regard to evangelicals has been that at a lot of times in American history, they have literally been the people we have had to fight against in order to get our liberation as Black people. That said, throughout American history, in recent history, right, we have seen where people would lynch us on Saturday night and go to church on Sunday morning. Last time you said not only that, you said that they would go to church on Sunday morning and then lynch us afterwards. Can you talk about that disconnect in the humanity? Like there's like a lack of humanity while they're crying Jesus, at the same time they are crucifying his children.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's basically this. This again comes out of slavery. They didn't think we were human. And so crucifying us, lynching us, or doing anything else. I mean, I got to correct you that the piece that I give in the book, they actually lynched the Black man before they went to church. So you need to understand that it's like church don't matter. It's like, let's do this hanging before we get to church, and then we go in there and praise God. But it's a white God that they're praising. It's a God that they think that is actually on their side. And so I think that one of the things that we have to dissect about this is that there are white people who still don't think that we are human. I have a story in the book that's about, I think some of us probably remember this. It was a couple of years ago, interracial couple came into a place in Mississippi that asked to get married. And they said, we don't do those kind of weddings here. We only do Christian weddings. right? So they don't even think we're Christian, let alone human. And this is part of the issue. And I think there are more people in America that really believe that than don't. And I think we have to start dealing with that.
Wow.
And Professor Butler, it's interesting that you said that this is a white God that they're believing in. This is, some made up God that they're going by. Since back in the day, they would, like you said, they would lynch before they went to church. After they went to church, it didn't really matter. Yeah. That's just what they believed in. And they believed that their God was okay with this happening. It's very interesting because when you say that this white God, it's almost like right now how they're praising Donald Trump, this white God. They have made this golden image, and this man who has brought racism to has highlighted racism as something so good, right? Allowed white folks to take off their hoods and walk in and do things like the insurrection. I relate that to the same thing. These people will use their white God and to say that this is why they're doing what they're doing. Like we have these evangelicals like Paula White who say it's okay to do a lot of these things, calling on African angels, child. It's all wrong. It's confusion and but these are the morals that they stand on to back up and defend the things that they do, like they've been doing for centuries.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yes. And and I think that we need to just understand what that is. What you say is very true. I mean, let me just put it to you as blunt as I possibly can. In the insurrection, they prayed in the Senate chamber, but they also put feces all over the Capitol. So what kind of God is that?
Some white supremacist barbaric God that they came out of the Caucasus Mountains with. I'm sorry, because it really does. Because then they have taken the last 40, 50, 60 years, and actually longer than that. But I'm just thinking since the evangelical movement tied themselves to the conservative movement in response to Roe versus Wade and in response to Jimmy Carter, they've taken these last 40 years and inserted themselves into the national conversation on the side of what they decide or they determine to be, quote unquote, sexual morality, right? But have zero regard for economic morality, have zero regard for the lives that they take with the military industrial complex. Can you talk about the selective morality of religion in general, but specifically this white evangelicalism that is tied itself to both imperialism and capitalism?
Yeah, well, I mean, part of the book is really about this whole trajectory of how they use morality as a shield. What I'm talking about is basically that what they do with these moral issues is hide behind them to do what they need to do. In other words, let's talk about that. So abortion is one of those moral issues, but the real issue behind that was taxes and tax evasion for Bob Jones University that didn't want to integrate, okay? So they could say it was abortion on the outside, but it was really about taxes on the inside, okay? So we can think about that. They can say it's about keeping Christians, pure, when the reality is when we get past 9/11, it's all about vilifying Muslims and Islam, right? And saying that that's okay and it's okay to kill, people and to go to war and do all of that. How George Bush justified war. It's the same thing that they did to say, well, Obama was a Kenyan Muslim, so they could get 2 for 1. He was also, he was an immigrant who was not saved. And then he was also a Muslim. So, that made it 2 birds with 1 stone. So all these moral issues that they claim to say are actually just shields for the dirt that they are actually doing. For the kinds of things, the warmongering, the capitalism, all of this stuff comes out of, we're going to put morality in front of everybody else. Meanwhile, we will forgive people like Ted Haggard, who slept with a dude that he met online. Okay. And, I don't care who you're sleeping with, but stop trying to tell us that homosexuality is bad when you got dudes that are stepping out on their wives every day in evangelicalism, doing what they need to do and treating their women badly.
Rebecca, we got to let that one breathe for a second.
Yeah, air it out. You're totally right. And that just goes behind and towards the truth of the matter. These people are hypocrites, and they expect only their law or when they do wrong to be covered because they're white, right? They're white supremacy. And they're, they believe that when they already look at us as inferior. Till this day, like you said, they still look at us as inferior, as if God will not, or the God that anybody serves will not hear our cry because we're just inferior. But one thing about it is just, I'm glad that we have voices like yours, because to attack in these areas, in the schools, at the church, wherever, because these people, and I'm glad that we can speak on this right now, because even if it's not Christianity, like you said, it's the Muslims, they will choose the who to attack and berate. But when it's to their own people who may be homosexual, the things that they are so against, who are getting abortions, and I'm pretty sure I know that Ben, you talked about this a few times, it's the church folks who be getting them abortions and things like that. So those things, they will cover it up, figure it out, but let it be the others. They will drag it out. My God. But yet there are people lots of them who are conservative and who go by this conservative way of life. In the background, they got their kids, their family members, drug abuse, all kinds of things.
Absolutely.
The double standard. The double standard is something that that I saw, and just in case people are wondering why we're so hard on white evangelicals, because one, we should be, but then also this is a level of hypocrisy that just transcends humanity in general, but especially in religious circles. I have I want to shift really quickly with the few minutes that we have here. The other thing about this is the way that evangelicals and religion in general has this very myopic interpretation of the universe, God, all these things in the first place. It's just something that dawned on me a couple months ago. And it's like, you have all these people who are on these political platforms, in these pulpits, who are shouting about how great their God is. And the first thing that they do in the evangelical church, in a lot of circles of Christianity, is they take this big, humongous entity that they call God, and then they limit him or it or they to a gender, first of all, to a race, second of all, but then also they limit that entity to our human understanding of time. Like they're serious about this. They seriously think that the earth is like no more than 6,000 years old, and that when it was created in 7 human days, as if the 24-hour clock is anything relevant to the broader universe. Could you just talk about like how myopic and how infantile they have to interpret their own religion in order for it to maintain their political goals?
Well, this is where I'm going to get back into the weeds again and go, this is 19th century stuff. This is when Bishop Butler said, the earth was this many years old, and this is how you calculate it. And they're actually relying on some old school 19th century things to make their Bible fit their 21st century worldview, which really is kind of a basic, not professional, not thought well, not educated worldview. Okay. So when we talk about things like creationism and all that, they've got a big I don't know if you know this, but there's a big copy of the Ark in Kentucky. There's a creation museum for all of that. You can go through the Holy Land and Florida. I mean, they make everything literal, right? And these literal ways of interpreting the Bible, we already know that are not correct. Okay. And there's plenty of biblical scholars who have faith who would sit down and talk to you about all of that. But for evangelicals, the easiest thing to do, and fundamentalists too, is to say the Bible is the literal word of God. It is infallible. It is, it should be used for everyday life. I mean, if that's the case, then you could cut up your sister if you thought somebody raped her and throw her everywhere if you take the Old Testament at its word, right? But they don't really even pay attention to all of that stuff. And I think that one of the things we have to understand is that you can put this on a spectrum, whether we're talking about fundamentalists in Islam or fundamentalists in Judaism or fundamentalists in Christianity. They all have similar aspects to them. They all think about their scripture as being this kind of literal text that they have to live off of. It makes them not see anything about science. We could go into the whole COVID thing and talk about how many church people have died because they still feel like they need to go to church and there's COVID, right? And they don't understand science, and they don't care about science, and they think God is going to protect them because God is this little thing that they can manipulate. And then the next thing you know, they are burying folks, and they're replicating the same thing at the funerals because everybody is gathering around a coffin, right? And so they're spreading the Rona everywhere. So these are the ways in which this is really hurting us right now and hurting the people around us. Everybody's got somebody in their family, I do too, who, thinks that God is going to save them from everything. And I'm like, that's not quite how it works. And you think that God is involved in these little pieces of your life When if God is everything, and if God is running the universe and made the universe and all this stuff, then maybe you should think about the fact that you have to exercise some common sense in your everyday life and think about what you're doing instead of running around here without a mask thinking that God's going to save you from stuff.
Right. God can't save you from your own stupidity. Right.
Exactly.
God, he can't save you from your intentional obtuseness. And this is what we're drenched in. And I think it's so pertinent. A lot of my supporters are not believers, and they understand the importance of these conversations, however, because of the impact that religion has in American politics on a level that just cannot be ignored. And so your work and your research, as well as your upcoming book, is a critical one. Professor Anthea Butler, Associate Professor of Religious Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. And the newest book, before I let you go, your latest book that is out, White Evangelical Racism, The Politics of Morality in America. Please pick up that book. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back with more Like It or Not after this short break.
Shout out again to Professor Anthea Butler. We greatly appreciate you being on the show this morning. That was a great interview, y'all. Make sure that you are downloading the Voices by Action Sprout app so you can follow Like It or Not and join the Like It or Not community. I got caught up on music, didn't You can point your camera at the screen and download either one of those QR codes. Thank you, Dwayne. You can use group code 213-756. Again, 213-756 and join the Like It or Not community, y'all. Melanie, good morning. I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain.
But I'm allergic to the rain. Euphoria. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm too excited. Dark liquor with the palm tree.
Chuck Diesel in the building. What's going on, Chuck?
Nothing, no other signs in social life. Come and see what you've been missing on a little slice of heaven.
Melody, good morning. Alicia, good morning. Shout out to Sensation. Goku, good morning, son. Good morning. Stephen Baker, good morning, so I greatly appreciate that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here they are, here once again, Ben and Rebecca.
I just love the way you introduced us. I feel like, I feel like I'm that person.
We're important. When he announces us, I feel like we're somebody. and while I got 2 seconds here, could I just say how much I love Professor Anthea Butler? Like, she is
absolutely
bomb,
I like her. I like. She is
most
bomb.
definitely.
Like, she's real. She's real, and you always need somebody who's real who can help you understand that evangelicals are a whole cult that need to be stopped because they have major influence, and they need to be stopped, and that's just really about it. That's
Church
really
said amen. Church said amen.
Amen.
Rebecca's in your head.
Right. So on Sunday, Andrew Cuomo tried to play off the multiple allegations of sexual harassment.
As much information as we could.
It comes amid new allegations of sexual harassment against Cuomo by former staffer Lindsey Boylan.
No problem. No, it's all good. Rebecca, it's in your hands.
That's okay because she was telling the story for me. On Sunday, Andrew Cuomo tried to play off the multiple allegations of sexual harassment as jokes that were misinterpreted as unwanted flirtation. In recent days, allegations of sexual harassment have been brought to national attention by two of the New York's governor's former staffers. In a post on Medium, Lindsey Boylan, whom I've talked about before here, said Cuomo created a culture within his administration where sexual harassment and bullying is so pervasive that it is not only condoned, but expected. Boylan further recalled an unwanted kiss from Cuomo in which he stepped in front of her as she was trying to leave his office. She also detailed the governor touching her lower back, arms, and legs. Boylan originally spoke out about claims of sexual harassment from Cuomo last December on her Twitter. On Wednesday, Caitlin Gurod, spokeswoman for the governor, said Boylan's claims of inappropriate behavior are quite simply false. Here's a clip of Governor Cuomo responding to her initial allegations at the end of 2020.
Yeah, I heard about the tweet and what it said about comments that I had made. And it's not true, Zach. Look, I fought for and I believe a woman has the right to come forward and express her opinion and express issues and concerns that she has. But it's just not true.
And on Saturday, Cuomo's former executive assistant and health policy advisor, Charlotte Bennett, alleged to the New York Times that Cuomo had made a series of inappropriate remarks that left her convinced he wanted to sleep with her. And this is the second woman. On Sunday, Cuomo released a statement denying these allegations, saying, quote, I now understand that my interactions may have been insensitive or too personal, and that some of my comments, given my position, made others feel in ways I never intended. Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, has requested that the matter be referred to her office by the governor, which Cuomo had been hesitating to do. A number of Democratic politicians from New York have weighed in on the matter, including AOC, who tweeted out, Lindsey Boylan and Charlotte Bennett's detailed accounts of sexual harassment by Governor Cuomo are extremely serious and painful to read. There must be an independent investigation, not one led by an individual selected by the governor, but by the Office of the Attorney General. Alessandra Biaggi, the Democratic chair of the state Senate's Ethics and Internal Governance Committee, has even gone so far as to call for Cuomo's resignation. So,
wow. Set it down. It's time to go.
I know. Look, here you go. He got to go because I reported on this at the end of last year for the Benjamin Dixon show. But I reported on this and I started the whole story off with, Lindsey Boylan, who was the first woman to come out that worked for him and accuse him of sexual harassment. And I said, why isn't her story getting any attention at all? It was literally just on Twitter, went to like maybe 2 publications, and that was that, right?
Oh, good morning. No, that was
Ben and okay, look, I'm the only person. Can you see me? Can y'all see me? Look. Okay. So about the Cuomo, while we get the background together, with Andrew Cuomo, I covered the story, and it seemed like only 2 publications were the ones to cover what was going on, and the people who covered it put it in a way as if, because she is running for a position in New York, and they were saying she was just doing this because of that particular position. Right. And in this moment, I think that now that it's highlighted, back then at the end of the year last year, Cuomo was the guy. Cuomo was going on CNN. Cuomo was partnering with his brother, doing the cute little interviews. He was like the supposed going to be running for president.
Right.
And they were just loving on him. So they couldn't fathom him being that type of person who may have harassed the women that he worked with, and made an environment impossible and uncomfortable for these women.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, all of a sudden today, now because Cuomo is kind of unliked now because the stuff is coming out of the closet, now they've reached back and they were like, hey, Lindsay, remember when you said the harassment thing about now? And that's what gets me the most. Because I know people under the story that I did for you last year, at the end of last year, they were saying, oh, she's just doing it for clout. She's just doing it for clout. She's just doing it for clout.
Right.
Because Cuomo is going to be president or because Cuomo's in this particular position. But the misogyny is in that too.
Right.
So because they won't look at somebody who's so likable and loved and say he's possible of doing so. Even if there are accounts and maybe receipts, they will still say he. And I read a comment yesterday that said specifically, Cuomo, even if he did that, I just love that man.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
See, this is the problem that I have with all of this. And Rebecca, thank you all for covering it. And I'm familiar with Lindsay. I don't know. I can't say that I know her, but we follow each other on Twitter. And one thing I give you is she's consistent on what she fights for, whether she was running for office or not. I can say that much about her. But what I can also say is this selective concern over sexual harassment is a problem. If we're going to believe women, if that's the mantra that we're going to go under, #BelieveWomen, then you can't drop that as soon as it becomes inconvenient for you because it's a politician that you like. Exactly. Now, realistically, we need to examine every single case by case by case and let the authorities examine it. But if we are going to go under that mantle and we've canceled other people because of it, then don't back down, because what it does, it's not only hypocritical, but it makes it extremely difficult for other women who come out and tell their stories, because they understand that you're only going to believe them if the person who harassed or assaulted you is their political rival. And what does that tell all of the women and, quite frankly, men who are assaulted and harassed in this country? It tells you that you're a political pawn.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting, Ben? It's funny because I just looked at it like it's a white woman who was saying this. And usually they are heard, at least over a black woman, right? We've seen that when it came to Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly. So, but just to say that, I say that because I'm like, I thought that would make a difference, but white men will always be the hierarchy. Like they will believe whatever a white man says, especially a white politician that's a male, and they'll believe him over anything, especially if he's likable. If they like him, there is no way that he can do any wrong. So it was very interesting for me to see that because they thought he was doing the best in New York and all of this, and this is the thing with media, mainstream media, they will latch on to those fluff stories and things like that, knowing that it would be in their best interest to cover the situations like with Lindsey Boylan, but they never touched on it. Never. What they touched on was COVID-19 situation, and then then they covered him actually taking the shot or whatever it was, or speaking to his constituents, and it made it look better. But meanwhile, Lindsey Boylan's in the background like, hey, do you guys hear me? Like, she's trying so hard. But it was just so interesting to me for me to see that, like, hands-on, like, dang, a white woman is literally saying that this man did that. And just a few years ago, when a white woman said anything at that point, it was like, oh, he did it. There
is a long list, though, particularly in politics, of even white. I'm going all the way back to 92. I cannot think of Bill Clinton's accusers, but anytime you run up against the political power structure in this country, it doesn't really care what your race is. It doesn't really care what your gender is. It does have preference. It certainly does, Rebecca, to your point. It certainly has preference. But if you have the nerve to go up against the most politically powerful people in this world, and it's not even going against them, it's like to just tell your story, what happened to you. And actually, let me get off that point, because I want to say this point, and then we want to bring in Marianne Williamson's. But here's the thing that really gets me about this, is that at no point will you see consistency in their conviction. You won't. You will have the same people who are saying, me too, turn around and say, but not now, but not here, but not, and it's always tied to politically powerful people. And I'm sorry, like I don't know the evidence. I'll let the investigation, Letitia James, she's going to do the investigation, let it come out. But hey, I know this field. I know that I know this political field almost as good as I know the church field. And I can tell you, sexual harassment exists from the top to the bottom. I don't care how powerful you are or how powerless you got. You could be the pastor of a church or you could be the doorkeeper at the church, and that stuff goes on in political world. And you could be the president of the United States or you could be the Lincoln Project, whatever. It doesn't matter who or what you are. This exists, and we cannot set the standard that the only time we're going to be upset about sexual harassment and sexual assault is when it comes from one of our political rivals. That said, I want to take a quick break, just like a 30-second break. And when we come back, I'm excited to be joined by none other than Marianne Williamson. And we're going to have a wonderful conversation about just all the stuff that she talks about because she's brilliant. We'll be back with more Like It or Not after this.
And they said, shout out to Rebecca Internet for holding strong. Talking about her FAMU Internet kicked the Wildcats out. Man, going somewhere. Make sure that you... All right. All right, make sure that you get the Voices by Action Sprout app downloaded, y'all. The Voices by Action Sprout app. That way you can connect to the Like It or Not community and be a part of the family. Once you get to download it, then you want to get your group code 213-756. Use group code 213-756. Become part of the family. Become part of the pride. And that's where you can send us pictures, videos, whatever it is that you may have, and get it played on the show, y'all. So make sure that you get that downloaded. It's Like It or Not, y'all. Mars Reese, good morning. Weekend was not long enough, but it was cool.
You don't know if my love is real. Baby, listen to me, here's the deal. When you're not here, I'm not the same. I'm needing a new chapter, babe. Been stuck here in a bed for days. I've been staring at the telephone, cause when you're gone, I miss your face. 8 o'clock, body talk. There's no need to bring it up. Nothing you say.
Right Church, wrong pew, good morning.
Wrecking ball, tear apart issues.
Dude, 1969, good morning, good morning.
Nothing you say makes it better. Hey, bring it right back to me, baby. No, we've been here before. Give me the real this time. No cap, no lies. It's our own core. Bring it right back to me, baby. I know my heart wants more. Give me the good this time. No cap, no lies. It's our own core.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, coming back to the screen, Benjamin Dixon.
Back to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. I'm always pleased to be joined by brilliance, and brilliance that is also wrapped in love. I want to introduce to our show for the first time Marianne Williamson, who is an American author, spiritual leader, political candidate, and activist. She has written 13 books, including 4 New York Times bestsellers, and she most famously and recently ran for president in the Democratic primaries of 2020. Sister Williamson, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. And thank you so much for having me on.
The pleasure is ours. I want to begin with just who you are. And I know most people watching this absolutely already know who you are, but just in context of the reason I reached out to you, I see you talking all the time about the hard issues. And then you also talk about the need and the necessity for love in the midst of these very difficult issues. If you're like me, that probably is difficult when you consider how fatuous and ridiculous American politics can actually be. So let me just start with the $1 million question. How do you balance maintaining love in a system that's so full of hate?
Well, if a system is full of hate, that means it needs love. I mean, if you're a doctor and somebody comes in with a wound, The doctor doesn't say, oh, that's so negative. It's so awful. You have a broken leg, but let's look at your elbow. If a system is filled with hate, it needs healing that much more. It needs the consciousness of that which is reparative that much more. So I look at something that is deeply corrupt and I think we need to go there. I don't look at something that's corrupt and think let's avoid it because it won't get less corrupt. It is, inertia means the tendency of the object to move in whatever direction it's been moving until a direction of a counterforce. We can't look at the corruption and the toxicity and the genuine danger, potential danger of the current system, and as a generation turn away and then die happy. It can't happen.
Right. I can't possibly, I say it all the time. It's like, I can't die yet. I gotta live because if I can't die happy knowing I'm living a broken system for my children and their children and their children. And if we're lucky, that we would have that kind of future. But we're in a system now that most certainly is on a collision course with disaster because it's rooted in things not just like hate, but rooted in greed. And part of your campaign really was speaking to that issue of greed and how it is breaking us and how it is breaking people. Talk about your campaign and how you came in certainly differently. You came in speaking differently. You were addressing issues. Matter of fact, you were one of the first people, if not the first person, to mention reparations on those debate stages. And you just came for it all. Tell us about that process and equally as important, the kind of pushback that the system gave you.
Well, the pushback the system gave me is very much aligned with what you were talking about a few minutes ago before I came on. The system has a pre-prescribed conversation, and it also has a pre-prescribed group of candidates that it has allowed into what it believes should be deemed qualified. And that has to do with people whose careers have been entrenched for decades in the system that drove us into this ditch. The idea is that they're the only people qualified to lead us out of the ditch. So I did come in talking about things that everybody I know talks about. The fact that economic values have at this point replaced humanitarian values, that capitalism has become, over the last 40 years, so untethered to ethical consideration as to be a serious danger to life among people in our country, people in the world, and the planet itself. That this absolutely must change, or we are on our way to global calamity, the likes of which we are already flirting with. But the system, the political media industrial complex, and I think you were referring to that as well. They're not disconnected. They clearly are a boys' club that work together. They won't have it. And if you seek to challenge it, they have their ways of dealing with you.
No. Yeah, they have a big, broad tool set that they can use. And the very first line in their defense to protect this system from the people is that media industrial complex. The last line is the military industrial complex. If they just have to wield it out on us, they will. Would you speak then, because there is an undertone. One of the reasons I think I connect with what you say so much is because the things that you say actually connect to how we survive as a species, how we survive in I want to say in perpetuity, because what we're doing right now is a recipe. I think people don't believe that this could be the last generation. I think people take for granted that our children's generation could be the last generation. But the way that we're behaving ourselves collectively, the way that we're engaging in this greedy system, the way we engage in these endless wars is a recipe. And the way we just completely disregard the environment is a recipe for our destruction. But I feel that one of your messages is how do we survive as a species? Could you speak on that?
Well, I totally agree with you. We are carrying on with a naive arrogance, forgetting the lessons of history. The lessons of history demonstrate that there have been great civilizations that have crashed and burned. And our civilization can crash and burn. We are collectively demonstrating behavioral patterns that are maladaptive for our survival. And in our case, not only the survival of our civilization, but as you say, of the species itself. And we all learned as children about how evolution works. The species will either evolve in such a case, will either mutate in such a case, or it goes extinct. Now, I do believe that that which represents an evolutionary alternative, that which represents the collective mutation, is present among us. And I believe the people of this country, and I believe the people of the world, there is a critical mass of people. You can feel it. It's an aspirational yearning that is demonstrating itself everywhere. New ways of agriculture, new ways to deal with food, new ways to deal with economics, new ways to deal with business, new ways to deal with medicine. It's there. The problem we have is that the economic and political systems that dominate our political and geopolitical realities are stuck in the regressive mode of behavior, and they form as they are at present an obstruction when the entire purpose of the political institutions is to be a conduit for solutions.
Yes.
And that's where we are right now, and that's why so many of us are screaming as loud as we can.
Absolutely.
So, Ms. Williamson, my question to you would be, I know that you spoke about, like, in these times, you know, to combat the negativity and the toxic is to show love and to, instead of run away from it, go towards it. It's pretty hard, especially as a person of color, a Black person right now in the country, to, you know, see it through that mindset, especially in these moments. So it's what else would be another option? Like, especially because mentally we're broken, and there's always something coming up. The system is against us. You know, we have this whole COVID-19 pandemic. It's against us, with us being the least to get the help and the assistance that we need. It's a lot. So, you know, it almost sounds like it sounds good. I remember when I used to walk in that, where it'd be like, you know, love on it. But some people are just so mentally worn out and torn, and just can't see it that way. So what would be another option? You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, we were talking a moment ago about the lessons of history. Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. have already created the template that you're asking for. We don't have to create any new wheels here. It's the idea that we ourselves have to practice the love that we want to see dominate the world. On the other hand, love involves truth-telling. I heard you a few minutes ago. There was no lack of love in what you were saying. You were simply stating the truth. It's stating the truth, standing for justice, refusing to tolerate it, but without personally demonizing anyone. We can critique the system without personal demonization. And I think a lot of people are doing that right now, and that includes you. So, and is it difficult? Of course it's difficult. It was difficult for the abolitionists. It was difficult for the women suffragettes. It was difficult for the civil rights workers. But to you, Rebecca, I remind you also, we're American women. We're not porcelain dolls. These are troubled times. These are tough times. And I really believe that this is really a time to look deeply at our ancestors. Yes, there are ancestors who were murderers and slave owners and the worst of the worst. But we also have ancestors who were liberators. We also have ancestors who repudiated that, who pushed back, who carried humanity forward. And I think we're living at a time when, as important as it is to identify the problems in the past, we need to identify with the problem solvers. And yes, they were stressed, and yes, they were anxious, and yes, clearly they would have been traumatized, but they continued. They continued to walk, they continued to push. And I think that's what we're doing. And I think also we're doing it together. I think in a way, we need to maybe in a certain way give ourselves a little more credit than we're giving ourselves. A lot of people are rising up right now too, and trying to own our yes and own our no. Absolutely no, you cannot continue to do this to our children. You cannot continue to do this to our people. You cannot continue to do this to our planet. That doesn't mean I don't love you. But as Martin Luther King said, God said I have to love my enemies. He didn't say I have to like them.
Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. I want to ask you about that a duality. Do you find ever that in your walk of love in these political spaces is matched by an equal amount of rage at the amount that our system just devastates human life? The complete and utter disregard for human life in the global South, the complete disregard for what's going on in Yemen, the casual disregard for the 22 lives that just were taken in the airstrikes in Syria. Like, I find that the more I love, the angrier I get at this system. What is that duality for you?
To me, it's like when you look at an Olympic level athlete, let's say an Olympic level, or let's say a tennis player at a place like Wimbledon, and that tennis player drops a ball, making a mistake they haven't made since they were 12 years old. They do not have the luxury of spending a fraction of a second going, oh, damn, they can't, they got to keep. We don't have the luxury. So yesterday, for instance, I watched a few minutes of President Trump's speech. I saw all of those people standing up, going crazy, excited at the idea of his running a third time. I definitely know that that would be a path to fascism in America. And I felt the emotions, everything you're saying. And discipline, just the word disciple and the word discipline come from the same place. Marianne, no time. Every moment you spend going into anger or fear is a moment you should spend articulating the alternative, organizing for the alternative, inspiring and motivating for the alternative. Don't let it drag you in. In the Course in Miracles, it says, look at the crucifixion, but don't dwell on it. Look at it, know it's there, be informed, and don't spend one more moment leaking your energy and giving it to that, because your energy is so needed right now to create the alternative that will carry the day and take humanity in a different direction.
One last question from me. And because I have probably 1,000 questions, we could probably talk about this stuff for days. You came out very boldly for reparations, which is something that, you know, has been a pawn in the hands of a lot of politicians, including the Democratic Party. But you were unequivocal about descendants of enslaved Africans in this country being owed reparations. Could you just speak about your conviction around that issue and in any pushback that may have caught you off guard around pushing that issue?
My political views, as all of my views, rest on a foundation of spiritual principle, because I believe that spirituality is not just a different category of life. It is the underpinning, that which connects us to our deep humanity. Yeah. And a universal spiritual theme in all the great religious and spiritual systems is atonement. You can't move forward in life if you don't clean up the past. Whether it's Catholics going to confession or Jews on the day of Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year is the Day of Atonement. In Alcoholics Anonymous, you have to admit your character defects. You have to own it where you've been wrong, and you've got to make it right. Yeah. So the more I studied about American history, I was writing a book called Healing the Soul of America in the late 90s. And I took a deep dive into American history more than I had before. I was already a liberal on social justice issues, including race. I was raised in that kind of a home. But the more I studied about American history, the more I got, whoa. And I saw that there's no way that the United States can go forward and have the life we want until we not only atone, but make amends. Now, in terms of the atonement, I had written a book at the end of the 90s, Healing the Soul of America, including talk about how we needed reparations. And in my own work, I was already leading all over the country, not only racial healing circles, but these ritualized prayers where white people would apologize to Black people, and some very powerful things happened. But the more time went on, the more I realized, if you owe me $1,000, as much as I would appreciate the apology, I'd also like my money back.
Come on, somebody.
So I realized at a certain point, we can talk about white privilege all we want, but take a stand here. And for that matter, I'll tell you something else about reparations. We don't need another study.
Come on.
We know what happened. We don't need more evidence. We're going to have a bill to collect evidence. We know we have the evidence. It's right in front of us. It's time to put money on the table and to begin negotiations. So I was very clear about that. And this was one of the reasons why I ran. I definitely noticed that the conversation, as soon as I mentioned it on the stage, somebody came in and said, oh, we won't be talking about that. But to be honest, it was a woman of color who did that.
And that's exactly.
That doesn't shock me. Look, that doesn't shock me at all. I'll say, Ben hit it right on the head. I was going to ask you about reparations and what that process was like for you. But for you, I think it's considered radical when you talk reparations, okay? And especially not being a Black person and being for that. And it's almost where if you speak about it, you know that your possible campaign can be doomed. But you still stood on that because you believe that. And you know what's right. You said something very, very important. We do not need another study. Listen, put the money on the table and let's begin negotiations. We know what happened. This should not be anything that we keep having to find information. If it happened, is there something that's going to change and say that we don't need reparations? Nothing's going to change. That was the history. That's what you guys did. This is what you guys didn't give us when it was promised to us. These are those kind of things that happen. And, but yes, you stood on such a radical a stance. And of course, it's going to be people who are in politics, who want for their positions to still be protected. So they know they can't even speak the radicalization of speaking about reparations. So they know they can't even speak about that at all. So you definitely took a chance on that. And I really, that's big.
Right.
I'd like to point out, though, something we all know. The whole idea of America is radical.
Yeah.
The very idea that there should be a society in which, to the best of our ability, we will create societal conditions where everyone, no matter who they are, has a chance to soar. Right. The ideal is radical. It has never been fully manifest, obviously, in this country. But there have been generations and groups of people who have tried, who have expanded the franchise, and who have, in every generation, pushed back against forces that would repudiate it. It's simply our turn. If you're not depressed, you're not looking. And if you're not radical, you're not taking things forward.
Yeah. Sister Williamson, you said something in this interview and we were getting ready to wrap it up, but you just contextualized something. You said this government is supposed to be a conduit for solutions. And instead it has become a roadblock to those solutions on behalf of a system that is detrimental to us and that we have to find new ways, new solutions. I would love for you to just speak about that again, but perhaps throw out some of the solutions that you're thinking that we can take, and then what the people in the audience can do to help enhance those solutions, because we got to do something.
Yes, indeed. Right now, our governmental policies do as much to thwart people's dreams as to support people's dreams. As a matter of fact, I think it could be argued that it does more to thwart people's dreams, the majority of people, than to support them. The underlying cancer, the cancer that underlies all the others, is the undue influence of money on our politics. That more than anything. That with this massive transfer of wealth into the hands of a tiny percentage of Americans began with the trickle-down economics in 1980. But then in addition to that, when the Supreme Court began to give unlimited power, ultimately with Citizens United, to corporate interests and great wealth to influence campaigns as they have, this created an unholy alliance between extreme wealth and corporate power and government. Our government has become basically a system of legalized bribery, in which it does more to advocate for the financial short-term profit interests of these huge corporate interests than us. One major political party has been bought hook, line, and sinker into that mentality. They actually, they're unabashed about it.
Right.
The other major political party is really upset about it. And it tries to do what it can to minimize the suffering, but because on the periphery, but because of its own hostage, the fact that it too is hostage to its corporate donors, it too refuses to challenge the underlying forces that make all that suffering inevitable. What can the average person do? Speak it, say it. Keep it up. Keep pushing. Do not be quiet. Do not let your exhaustion diminish your fervor. Do not let your trauma or your stress or your anxiety diminish your passion. Don't let them do it to you. Everything that you and I were saying before. Whether this will mean that the real left stops being peripheralized within the Democratic Party, or whether it means the left actually becomes a force, which it should be given the numbers of people who agree with this outside those two parties, I don't know. I'm living with those questions inside my heart, just like everybody else is. But right now, the question is not, what are we going to do? The question is, will I do it, or will I be sucked in to a system that so wants to exhaust me that I lose my passion for the things for which I was born?
My God.
Well, Miss Marianne Williamson, thank you so much for even sharing what, your word, because I think I call that a word, right?
It's a word.
Good word.
That was a word.
Thank you so much for sharing your good word. We would love to have you back here. Before you leave, let the people know how they can reach you or follow you.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, people can go to Marianne.com. People can also follow me, of course, on Twitter and on Instagram and Facebook and all those places. I also have a podcast, Marianne Williamson Podcast. And all the nice, kind things that you just said to me, I say right back at you. Let none of us forget, we're all out there. There are a lot of us out there.
Yes.
More of us.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much once again, Ms. Williamson. And everyone, make sure you follow her. Get on her podcast.
Get on that podcast. Yes.
Yes. Make sure you get on that podcast. I'm gonna check it out definitely. And we'll be right back with more Like It or Not after this.
Marianne Williamson, thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it, y'all. That was a dope interview. Make sure that you go back and watch it again and get a replay of that. You have to. Most definitely, y'all. Today was a good day with some interviews, man. Tomorrow is going to be even better yet. Anthony Clark and Isaiah James is coming through tomorrow, y'all. Make sure that you keep it tuned to Like It or Not. A lot of good stuff coming up, y'all. Just letting y'all know this is a bop right here, y'all. But I'm trying not to. Yeah.
Boy, you had me from the start. By the way you stared, the way you wrote it for me. Yeah,
you gotta get that slow roll with it. You see it.
Felt your energy. Wasn't used to being loved and treated differently. Yeah, but something went wrong. The signals got crossed, and now we're on completely different pages.
Shout out to everybody that's in the chat room. Make sure that you are hitting that like button. And if you want to become a patron of the show, make sure that you join patreon.com/the BPD show. Again, patreon.com/the BPD show.
Focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby,
yeah, this is a groove.
Switch up the vibe.
Seven, sweetheart, good morning.
Baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Boy, you take me on a trip.
Shantae, don't get me started.
Up and down and back and forth in merry-go-round. I just wanna get it right.
It's the shoulders, you gotta watch the shoulders.
Go left, I'm stuck here feeling left behind. Cause something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're going different directions. Let's go where we were, when no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow.
Marco, sorry, you know how I do it. I'm always bopping somewhere.
If you love me, baby, don't you switch.
This is Switch Up the Vibe by Catnip featuring King Sis. King Sis is all over the place, ain't she?
Baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you switch up the vibe. If you love me just like you say you do.
Courtney, good morning, good morning.
If you kill him, you're gonna kill us too. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe.
Our promises manifested.
Baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you switch up the vibe.
Turn up the headphones a little bit. Hey. ISO, let's get it.
Whoa, clear out the room, I'm coming through. They wanna see what I'm about. Yeah, I got skills, do it for the thrill. I'm on a paper route. Extra, read about it. I'm today's trending topic. I put commas over bullshit. Yeah, I put that on one.
Appreciate that, son.
Black on my blessings. They thought I lost the stepping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping. Put on for the whole city. Yeah, I got them rocking with me. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping.
Sending emojis. I'm blowing a pack of that OG. Don't be acting like you know me. And if you did, that's the old me. Winter time, rock a cold fleece. Pocket fat, that's obese. Only talking money if it's increased. She give me brain, girl, no teeth. I touch down, bust down. She busted open for a real. Stay Tommy.
Martin Benton, you right. Get the people to share, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, y'all.
Chase a dream, that's a meal ticket. ISO gang, yeah, they still with us.
Mandarin, I appreciate that.
Thoughts on my mind, it's weighing heavy.
And y'all, welcome back to the screen, Rebecca and Ben. Sarah, what's going on? Shout out to the Pride.
Oh, sorry. The camera's on.
Man, y'all missed the jam not too long ago, man. Y'all missed the whole thing. What? Y'all gotta replay
it. I did miss the jam. I'm not upgrading my dance moves. I'm 40 years old. I ain't gonna be out here trying to do young people dances. I'm gonna be doing the last thing I did.
I think I feel that now, though.
The last thing I did in the club. That's it. I'm staying there for the rest of my life.
You're right, because the last thing I did, I don't even remember. But all the new dances I've tried, like TikTok, and and I dance. So I tried, and I'm like, I don't know. This all looks ridiculous, especially when they hold their hand right here and they go like this. It's dumb to me. But don't shoot me in the comment section.
I'm about to say we don't need a war.
Don't shoot me in the comment. But that's just how I feel about that. But
I don't want war with TikTok, please.
No,
I got enough wars on enough fronts. No war. We appreciate y'all dances. We just too old to do it. That's all.
Yeah, we ain't
gonna go to war with TikTok because it's a lot of streamers on TikTok, so we're not going to war with them at all.
And you know who else? We were joking about it the other day. Another person I refused. I'm not even going to think twice about trying to call that man Kevin Samuels. I'm gonna stay in my lane. I ain't got time to get on that man's show and that man roast me until I go and jump off somebody. Man, no. So
you saw what I was telling you. I told you.
I went and watched a couple episodes. I said, "Oh hell no! I'm out of my league right there. I'm gonna stay right here in this politics."
He has something in his back pocket for everyone. And it's like no matter what kind of heart you got coming in there, ready to be like da-da-da-da. He's just like, girl, sat down
taking
somewhere.
no prisoners. He is taking no prisoners. So I just want to have an armistice with TikTok, Generation Z, Kevin Samuels. We don't want the smoke, but this political game, yeah. Y'all come see us though. Anyway, go ahead, Rebecca.
Look, because I want the smoke, but not from Kevin Samuels. I gotta work on that. But the Generation Z, what's up? Look, what up? I'm just kidding. I love you guys. Mean it. There's a really adorable story that I think we should definitely cover, and it is we know how we are with our hair as Black people. Even you, Ben.
Okay.
Even you, Bubba.
She got it in there. She got it in there.
Listen, Dwayne.
90% of our team is bald. So watch yourself, Rebecca.
Even some of the white folks are balding, and that's okay because they got beard, facial hair, holding it down.
So I gotta go. I'll see y'all later.
Get to this haircut story. Gee.
But yeah, that's what I want to get to. Black folks don't play about their hair because I had to make sure I read that line because that's in there. And we know with the Gorilla Glue girl, hair glue, we all know the hair saga. But Jason Smith, the principal at Stony Brook Intermediate and Middle School, keeps that in mind, even when at school. Let's take a look.
An Indiana middle school principal who took time out to be one student's barber. It all started when an 8th grader didn't want to remove his hat in class because he was embarrassed by his haircut. He was sent to see the principal, but instead of sending the kid home, the principal, Jason Smith, pulled out his hair clippers.
Yeah, that's the real deal, clippers right there.
I've been cutting hair, most of my life. I played college basketball. When I cut teammates' hair before games, and I've been cutting my son's hair, for 17 years. So I had professional, clippers and edgers at home. So I said, if I go home and get my clippers and line you up, will you go back to class? And he said, yeah, I will. That age is a time for, peer acceptance is huge, and so young men, especially, African young men, the barbershop's a big deal, in the community, and looking good and representing and presenting yourself, is huge for kids.
Wow, he was spot on, isn't he? What a wonderful human. Smith says this could be a lesson for all of us and educators on having empathy.
Sorry, they cracked me up. Listen, this story is it ain't about this man knew what was up. This man knew what was up. What a wonderful human. Listen, lady.
What a wonderful human.
I actually enjoyed her when I was like, yeah, he is a great human.
Look, yeah, humans are great. We cute, we whatever. Now, this particular person, he's like, he been in the game. He know. And for him to see this little boy knew, listen.
Yeah. I can't go in this classroom with my hair like this, Chad.
Just like Ben, remember when you did your son's haircut and you would not allow us to see it? You pushed him. You literally threw that baby. Baby was walking behind you, and you literally threw him on the other side of the room.
I did not throw my baby.
No, you didn't throw him.
For all the people to the federal agents who are watching, I did not throw my baby. I did elevate him and lift him to the other side of the camera because you can't be showing no bad haircuts.
He was like, "Get out of here!" And then he gonna put a hat on the baby. But anyway, this principal understood. This principal really understood that same thing. He was like, okay, this is what he mentioned was the peer issues. Like it is real. A time. Yeah. It's at an all-time high, especially with social media. Yeah. Kids are bullying and and these kids are
Pause it right there. Really... Pause it right there if you don't mind, Dwayne, because that man's beard is like that thing is tight. He got the Andis T edgers, right? The grays, he is a professional barber. Because look how crispy that is. There we go.
You know what's funny? It's like there's this barber out here that I had took my ex to go get his haircut because he had long dreads, and we can only take him to somebody who knew how to, because this man had dreads for like 17 years. So we took him to this guy, and the guy was from California. I forgot his name, but he used to be like, "I'm gonna slice you back in the game," and I'm like, "What? That's not a thing." But then when he was done, I said, "Oh my!" He really sliced him back in the game. He had a particular tool that he used, but he's like, "It's my invention. I made that," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." But the way he was slicing him and getting him together, you couldn't even tell. Old boy had dreads.
I mean, we've been friends for a long time. I remember that transition.
Yes, right.
The dreads was dope, but when he got doing all that, it was like, all right, I see your face.
Slice back in the game. I understand that, and that principal looks like he too is slicing folks back in the game, and he's been doing that for years. And he did that for that child, and I think it's love. It is. Yeah, he is a great human, but it's also like, listen, you could be my son. Listen, I got you. I know it. I understand it. You being a black little boy, we got you. I got you. I'm going home just a few miles up. I'm gonna go get my clippers, and I'm gonna.
Had I been the principal, the only thing I could have given him was an even Steven. Like I wouldn't, all that. I just would have brought it down. I would have got rid of all the gaps and whatnot. But like anything fancy like that, that's why. That's why we go to barbers. You got to go to your kingdom, man. Barbershop is real. Yeah.
And thank God that principal was a barber. Like, thank God.
Because that had been me, because that boy would have put on a second hat. But anyway.
A double hat.
Double mask, double hat. Shout out to that principal, man. What else? Give us one more. Give us one more, because we still got time. We got a couple more news stories, but what else you got?
So I know that we said we wanted to go to
the Superman.
Superman.
So Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Ta-Nehisi Coates. He's been hired to write the screenplay for a new Superman movie with the added possibility of a black Superman. The added possibility.
It's a possibility.
It's possible, yes, of a black Superman to be produced by J.J. Abrams.
Why are you like this?
He said, quote, I look forward to meaningfully adding to the legacy of America's most iconic mythic hero, Coates said to the website Shadow and Act. And yes, I say that a million times because we have to know that people, I don't know where in history that they thought it just wasn't possible
for Superman
to make Superman black or whatever, white, whatever. And I get it, because if for me, if a superhero started out black, keep him black. But I feel like at the same time,
if it started off white, make him black.
Like, he has.
You're such a hypocrite.
Yeah, no, I say that because you guys think for years you guys thought we were inferior. It's such a different. It's such a different history.
Yeah,
and
the dynamic's totally different, right?
Yeah, it's like you guys would never think to make Superman black,
with one exception. Major exception. And James, I probably have to yield to you on this because you know comic books more than me. I mean, I know comic books, but I do remember after the death of Superman, I remember I was at my height of comic book collection. Right? The death of Superman, one of the Supermen that came out from that was a black Superman. So anybody who got an issue, it's in the comic book. It's in canon.
Yeah, so in the comics, go ahead.
Let the expert speak.
Because I was going to give my interpretation of it. Do I think it'll happen? If it does, I hope it's because y'all are hiring this man for his acting skills. Superman, don't do it because, everybody's on the Black Lives Matter bandwagon or everybody's doing everything to bring black people in and doing this and that. No, let's make sure we do it because of the man's acting skills. So, I'm not opposed to leaving comic book characters like they are, because once you start going that out the way for comic books, you start messing up the story a lot. And you can't claim it. But Ben is right. When Superman did die, there was an iteration of the black Superman. His name was Steel. When he was like John Henry coming in with a sledgehammer, flying and knocking crap out. So if it's done right, it'll be cool. They got to do it right.
I mean,
but DC,
I think Rebecca would like this. Rebecca, I think you're like this. One of the people they're floating to be, well, maybe not. I don't know how you feel about it, but Michael B. Jordan. They're talking about letting him be the Superman.
I support this.
Rebecca B. Jordan.
Rebecca was.
She was speechless for a second there, guys.
No, I wasn't. I'll say this: Michael B. Jordan, he's still fine. Michael B. Jordan is still fine, but he old news. Okay, so not about Michael B. Jordan right now. Okay. So we broke up. But listen.
Okay. Yeah.
But listen,
he got somebody now. Okay.
But listen. I think the comic books and has history of changing the characters to be black or starting out with black characters, which is good. I don't know why film never tried to or started with or had the idea of. No, I do know why, because whiteness. But that's why I say it's we have the possibility of getting the character black, and you made a good point, Bubba. Don't let it be because it's a black person, because not just because you're black doesn't mean you can act. It's not. That's not.
I'm thinking of a long list of people that I could drop some names right now. I'm
actors, and Tyler Perry has probably hired them. So I will say,
what if I wanted to get a partnership with Tyler Perry in the future?
But here's the thing,
we literally live in Atlanta, and you gonna attack Tyler.
And I stay down the street from him.
Tyler Perry has so much money, and he can actually hire people on for major roles, and they're literally interning. But like they're doing major roles, and over time, I can say that they get okay. But that's all I got. I gotta speak the truth, like that, like Miss Williamson said. Okay, this is my truth, and I'm speaking in truth and love. But last thing I'll say about that. Last thing I'll say about this comic, it would be great to have it's possible for the Superman to be black, and I would like to see that, but not because we're on this whole make it black or make it black and white, make it mixed. Just get a good black actor, because we have so many. Like get Big Driss, Idris. You know what I'm saying? Like do what we got to do.
You saying Mike?
It's just fine, but
you saying Michael B. Jordan is old news. Like Idris, don't get me wrong. Idris,
No,
hey,
Idris-
like,
Idris is-
like
Idris
if I could
is-
grow up
Idris
and look
is
like
vintage.
anybody, it would be Idris, right? But
Idris is
man,
vintage-
he started off
vintage
as one of
news.
he started off as one of them bad actors on Tyler Perry films. Now let's not
He didn't start off
his
that way. He
beginning.
was doing his films from where he from.
Oh,
but
he was a
he's
DJ
vintage.
and all. Yeah,
He was still
vintage.
good though, at least.
Yeah, he was still good. But anywho, last thing, because it's always something. I need to get this in. It's at 10:20.
Okay.
The old girl from.
Oh, you didn't forgot now.
Yeah, I did. The old girl from WandaVision.
Oh, yeah.
WandaVision. Yeah.
The original. The original. Get me right, Bubba.
It was Agatha all alone. Agatha all alone.
Oh,
No. The original, the black girl, the black character.
Monica Rambeau, who plays
yes, the original
Photon.
Captain Marvel. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Here's what I say with that. Like that, right? The comics had the nerve, the audacity to make her black. But then all of the sudden, it was just washed away. And something that only people like Bubba and possibly you, Ben, people who are into the comics and things like that would know. But it's like, if I would have known that there was a superhero that like they could have circled around like her own story and movie, that was at the head of the Marvel, like the strongest, and she was black and she wore a fro.
Captain Marvel, the original. Yep.
That is a big deal.
That's a big fact.
And I. Look, if Letterhack, if you're watching that, you know what to do.
Draw her. Yes. Shout out to Letterhack.
That's I'm with that. I'm definitely with that. I'm definitely with that.
Let me just get this one last thing in. The one of the weakest parts of any movie is the writing sometimes, along with the acting. But I think it's in good hands with Ta-Nehisi Coates. Like he's written some for Black Panther. He's a novelist and he's steeped in obviously like the Black radical tradition. And so I think they got a good chance of doing it well and doing it right with him at the helm. You're right. They're gonna have to get the right actor to play the role. I think they may stick with. I think the conversation is actually sticking with the Henry Cavill character, the current Superman, which is a pretty good iteration of Superman. But I would like to see like Steel. They should do Steel because that is a part of the canon, and I'm here for it. So that's all I've got. Like
get the black man from it's the show Underground.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie. I mean that show, man. That's like one of my favorite shows.
So fun. It's crazy. Get him. Y'all sleep. Talking about Michael B. Jordan. He is the one.
I'm just thinking like wait, like he's gonna have to bulk up a little bit to play the Superman.
And he can. I believe that he can.
I'm sure he can.
He just got skinny for that role because slavery and stuff.
I'm just saying he's just got to bulk up, and I'm sure he got all the best. They'll get the trainers, the trainers for Thor. If y'all saw the actor for Thor before he got them trainers, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was tall.
He was big
muscular,
before.
He was big.
Chris Hemsworth,
Chris Hemsworth. But when they put that man through that Thor routine, he came out looking like Thor. So they gonna have to do that with your boy from Underground.
God bless.
And the other thing
a lot
with
of people
this,
that are just very, very yes.
Right. And another thing with the Superman movie, I really hope like it's good because DC movies are terrible. I'm just gonna say it. Wonder Woman was the best movie that came out. Was one of the best ones.
I actually really liked. I might be the only person who actually liked Justice League.
Oh my gosh, it was.
I watched
if I could
it and
cuss,
I don't even remember
would.
that. I watched it and don't even remember it.
I hate it.
If
the
I could
last
cuss
scene.
on here, I would.
The last scene where they changed the entire color scheme. They went from like a regular movie to like this orange hellscape for like 30 minutes. I didn't like the last scene, but I actually liked the. Am I the only one?
It was trash.
I'm the only one on the internet who liked it. I actually like. I tell you the other one I like, and I almost got in a fight at my job at HubSpot because we were talking about it, and I'm the only one who liked Batman versus Superman. I really liked that movie. James, you didn't like it?
Super trash. Like it was storylines from all over the place. Man, I'm a comic book fan, right?
Why did you say that?
When I tell you, they messed up that movie so much. It was like, and then they had the nerve to release an Ultimate Edition that was like 3 hours long, and it was like an hour extra of trash. And I'm just like, what the hell, y'all?
Why did you say that? That's all I got to say about that.
It's just. There's a lot of trash that's been going. First of all, can I talk about this too? Look, it's so many things that we got to get back to, but this because there's a particular story that I want to cover, but I think we should do it at the start of tomorrow's show. Because I think that we don't have enough time and I really want to delve into it a bit more. But I want to discuss a little bit about the Golden Globes yesterday.
Okay.
Now, of course, the fashions were amazing, and I should have pulled a few because
Regina pulled it tomorrow. Yeah, Cynthia Erivo.
Bro, like, how does she continue? Like, every single time I see her, she looks younger. And that's all I can say on there.
Her and Angela
Bassett. Queen mother.
They keep doing what has to be done. And these kids are worried about looking like Kim Kardashian in them. We have these Black women that are here that are living, these legends, and they look so good.
Amazing.
And even if they had any work done, sweetie, you wouldn't know because it's so amazing. They are beautiful women who are older, and we're focused on what's up.
No, I was gonna say save as because we need to do a whole segment on it. We got to do a whole segment on it.
It's a big deal.
They were fly.
They were fly. But I wanted to just touch on the movie, Billie Holiday movie that came out recently, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Daniel Kaluuya, which I interviewed before when he did the movie.
Nice.
Yes. Oh. But honestly, I wanted to talk about how those movies just came out. And
Bubba, you a mess, by the way. Huh? Bubba's a whole ass mess out here. He don't be.
But I missed
he
that.
Said, I'm young, I'm single. I'll just be over here like Regina King. She looks very good. Regina's very good.
Bubba is always in agreement with me, so I love that.
That's all I can say.
Right, Rebecca.
But I was saying she is watching, but she knows that you know what beautiful is because you picked her.
She know your heart, right?
Yeah, but these two movies came out, and I guess I'm just not privy to how the whole system works, and I'm always shocked every year. These two movies just came out literally like a week ago, and they got these awards.
Winners.
Yeah. I have a problem with that because I'm like a whole year because the Golden Globes goes for that year of work, and there has been good stuff. We probably just forgot about it. Of course, it's the pandemic and how we're watching our movies now, how our intake is going. But there's stuff literally. These movies that just came out yesterday.
Yeah.
How? When the Golden Globes I don't get how they are up for awards just like that against those other bodies of work. That is hard to compete with.
I thought that it ended like at the end of the year. So like the Billie Holiday movie and Judas and the Black Messiah, I'm just like, how are y'all even up for nominations already?
It's not fair. I don't think that's fair to the people who do their work of art for that year because now it's like, dang, that's all what's going to be in people's minds. And then we know, I don't care how inclusive you guys can be. If it's in the people's minds and because they have the voting privilege in the room all the time, they're going to pick that, especially because it's the hottest thing. Like they're going off of the black movies and the black voices and all that. They're going to pick that. But geez, there were other works of art that happened this year. And I don't think that's fair. I think the voting system is just trash if that's how we're going to do
it. So to our producers, let's look it up. Let's figure it out why and how that works. Because I don't know.
I thought you guys were going to be able to answer it for me.
No, I don't know anything about it.
I watched and I'm excited because, some good stuff that won. Happy for Andra Day. I'm extremely excited for Chadwick Boseman, and I'm glad that would happen. But, Regina King got snubbed so many freaking times. And so did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Not today. I got to go eat. I don't eat before this.
Tomorrow.
I get so frustrated. No, let's talk about it some other day. But I get so frustrated because she literally has done works of art throughout the year, and here she is getting snubbed again. I mean, I just don't get it. Andra Day, you just came.
She's a legend.
Yesterday, and sweetie, you did a good job in Billie Holiday, but that just came out yesterday.
Yeah,
I don't see how they put that in. There's no fairness in that, but that's just on me. Maybe in the comment section, you guys can get me together and help me understand how that works.
You ain't wrong.
But that's just how I feel about that.
You ain't wrong at all.
It's sketchy.
Well, with that said, I've got to go prepare my fast. Break my fast. It has been an amazing episode. I absolutely love hanging out with you.
Talking about some break the fast. He going straight to the place that's going to put him back to get on that damn fast.
No. I'm going straight.
One burger is like 10 bad meal.
I'm going straight to my kitchen and I'm gonna cook up something. Maybe it's the second hour or the third hour until we get enough patrons. Patreon.com/the BPD show. You get us enough patrons. Right. We'll go to a full third hour and include live phone calls. And that said, this Friday night, James, we have a patron party, and that's our way of thanking all of our patrons. Shout out to Gwen Williams in the chat room. She said Ben needs his grits. Unfortunately, I can't have grits right now because I got we on camera all the time. I got a few more pounds, so we're doing the keto. But that said, tomorrow, be here. Same bat time, same bat channel. Friday night, be here for the patron party. Patreon.com/BPD show. Rebecca, get your last word in there.
As fast as you did tomorrow. Make sure I'm kidding. Yes, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, Rebecca Azor, RebeccaAzor. And yes, make sure you get to that Patreon wherever you can donate the funds to free me and Bubba. Free us.
Give us free. Give us free.
James, it's in your hand, man.
Love you guys. Mean it.
Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Like it or not, y'all, make sure that you get the Voices app. I can't stay Rebecca. Okay, make sure that you download and search for the Voices by Action Sprout app. Voices by Action Sprout app, y'all. This way, you will always know when Like It or Not is going down, and you can send us videos, pictures, uploads, anything that you need to send to us, and we can get it played on the air. So what you have to do, scan either one of those QR codes, depending on which Play Store you have or App Store, and once you get it put in there, then you're going to want to use our group code 213-756-213-756, and then you will be connected to the Like It or Not community, y'all. So make sure you get that downloaded and get that done. Gonna ride y'all out for another 10 minutes. I might give y'all 10 minutes this morning. I got a little second. I don't have a conference call today, but you know how it goes. Y'all stay tuned. Like it or not. Goku, you stupid.
Like the world is on our side. Nothing can bring me down tonight. Hey. And your touch sends chills down my spine. Alright, I got a brand new loving. Take me away, girl, to a new level.
Shout out to everybody that joined us this morning, y'all. We greatly appreciate y'all.
I found an angel.
Sensation, shout out to you. Thank you for watching.
Found an angel. Ooh, baby. People would travel far and wide just to see how your halo shines so bright. Ooh, baby. Did you fall from paradise? Wherever we go, I'm on cloud nine, so high, yeah. I got a brand new love you. Take me away, girl, to a new level, It's 7 on 9, the night. I found an angel. I found my angel. Come on. I found my angel.
And make sure that y'all join the patreon.com/the BPD show. Patreon.com/the BPD show. This way you can become a patron of the show and get ad-free and exclusive content. So make sure that you get that. This is Angels Among Us, and this is by Vincent Vega. I was feeling it. Got lost.
I'm not
This makes me want to go watch the 5 Heartbeats of the Temptations movie. Mama, this is Angel by Vincent Vega. All right, now it's time to get you in the groove a little bit, y'all. Make sure that you get your Monday morning started right. Now turn your radios up.
Chilling at the crib, but I think I'm about to step outside. Calling on my friends, thinking what I wanna do tonight. I just wanna be somewhere, I wanna lose my mind. But when I hit the mall, it's the same thing every time. Got me some Mauritian like it's Christmas. I be on your wish list, know you wanna kiss this. Summertime, don't lie, if you're thirsty, it's okay. I hear it every day. Boys line up around the corner. Wait for my lemonade. Wait for my lemonade. That's my lemonade, make the boys say, hey. 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 Posted with my girls, all the boys wear when they pass by. All around the world, it's the same thing every time. Yeah. Got me some Mauritian like it's Christmas. I be on your wish list, know you wanna kiss this. Summertime, don't lie, if you're thirsty, it's okay. I hear it every day. Don't deny that I could use some company. All my friends say, honey, just let him be.
Alicia, you see me chair dancing too.
First you are in, then you are out, like snow in the spring. I just want your time. I just want your time.
Mona Jackdar, appreciate that.
I need your time. 365, 24/7, I'll be fine. As long as you spend a little time. Just want your time. Make me feel like we could be something more. The way your light shines is
Chuck, make sure that you record that.
But then you put doubts in my mind. Still, you make me feel like we could be something more. First you are in, then you are out, like snow in the spring. I just want your time. I just want your time, oh, time. I need your time. 365, 24/7, I'll be fine. As long as you spend a little time. Oh, spend a little time.
Slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on.
Right, y'all clear the floor, clear the floor, make Chuck some room, make Chuck some room.
Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, my hand is wrapped around your waist. I love the way that you be twirling to the bass, moving sideways on the Friday. DJ playing all of your favorites. I'm digging your flavor, yeah. Catch a vibe. Let this be real inside. Hey, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby,
show me your facade. I be going live when you look me in my eyes. Show me your facade, show me your facade. You alive, you in front. You say anything long as you get what you want. Tryna play me like a fool, homie, I am not a clown. It ain't nothing but a game, cause all you do is mess around. Now I'm on the verge of a meltdown. I should've known when I met her back at Midtown, at Dogwood, when I was going through a rough patch, but it's all good. I even told her about the dog times I had in childhood when we was driving off of I-10 in Kirkwood. Now all that time I never get it back. You wanted that, used to hate when I didn't wanna hang. I noticed that, used to talking about your ex Jake with your next Jack. Used to messing with them white boys, now she went black. Wait a minute, guess you went and got yourself a real life. Got yourself some booty shots and live full of. You just wanna make a rapper beat like Dilla. You ain't the nice radiator eyes. Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float. Get out the way, and just go. And just go, and just float. How you gon' lie when you looking in my eyes and you say you down for the cause, but you really here for the ride? You ain't really feeding no sheep. You're a canine in disguise. Should've never gave you nothing but a funky high five. I know we can't go back in time, but I wish I could rewind and get back all that money that I spent every nickel and dime. Cause you alive. Oh, you a front. You gon' say anything as long as you get what you want. Went and got yourself a new man. It ain't even been a month. I feel sorry for your boo, cause he don't know what he signed up for.
This one is Pennywise by Norman Sand. Pennywise, y'all.
Don't try to do him like you tried to do me, baby. You a cold-blooded killer like Stu. Cause up close, baby, you a ghost. You a demon, and you should float. Get out the way, and just go. And just go, and just float. Float like a balloon, apple, empty bottle, cork, styrofoam, and most dead bodies. You killing me, homicide. Look at your lying eyes. I should have been better laced, cause I failed too many times.
Nigga, I have to go back and find out which one that is, but I got you.
But just to conceal it with a smile. So all you lucky ones, what up? You're always on the run, what up? I mean, don't get me wrong, but what up? Or was I not the one you dreamt of? No. Just the life
right, go. We all flipped.
Why don't you stop for a minute? Just relax yourself. This moment will never come back again. It's sad you never thought I was good enough, but I called your ace your kingdom, and it's all a bluff. It's all a bluff.
Courtney, this one is a groove. It's a groove, y'all. Yeah, Nick, I got you. I'll find out and I'll let you know.
Always looking for the next best thing. Do it on your own this time around. So all you lucky ones, what up? You're always on the run, what up? I mean, don't get me wrong, but what up? Or was I not the one you dreamt of? No. Cause the life we live will never be enough.
I appreciate that, mama. I'm surprised you still in here. You supposed to be going to do your chores. All right, right, y'all. That's going to do it for your boy, James Bubba Williams, better known as DJ Exclusive. We greatly appreciate y'all and our guests today. Once again, make sure that you download the Voices by Action Sprout app on your phone so you can connect to the Like It or Not community, y'all. Once you get that downloaded, make sure that you use group code 213-756. Again, 213-756. So you'll be able to upload pictures, videos, any and everything, and send them to us, and we can get it played on the air, y'all. And also, if you want to become a Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/thebpd show. Again, patreon.com/thebpd show, and that way you can get ad-free content. So support. Give us freedom from corporate America, please. Love y'all, and we mean it. Hey, y'all, make sure y'all stay tuned tomorrow. Like it or not, man, we got a great show coming up. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll see y'all in the morning. Deuces. Mwah! I'm still on the screen. Look.